Namaskar. A lot of things happened in 24 hours as India and Canada have expelled 6 diplomats. India has also recalled its High Commissioner, and in turn, it expelled Canada's High Commissioner, and much more is going to come. I just wanted to bring you up to date on what has happened, the timeline, how things came to here, and everything else, and also how I see a way out, because there are many problems that are going to come out of this, and I'm just going to give you a quick rundown on how things are going to come, because the safety of people living in Canada, Indo-Canadians, is now coming into sharp focus. Will the lumpens that go by the name of Khalistani sympathizers, will they lash out at the minority, which is the Indian Canadians, hardworking people? Will they start attacking them on the streets? All these fears have to start coming up now, because what essentially was an inter-gang warfare has now been used as a tool by Canada, and that's how things have escalated up until here. So I have a small slide deck to present to you, and that will give you black and white what is going on and where things are headed. And I'm afraid this is not going to end well for Canada. Perhaps India will also suffer some shtick because of this. But let's first find out, let's first look at what happened, and this is going to give us a fairly good idea of how things are going forward. Here we go. Now, you know that I have been requesting you to please like this video, and this is one of such videos which has been done in a lot of in a very short time, but we had to include a lot of information, and we cull this from various sources. I've given you a bunch of references, and we may add one or two more after we go back and review the video to see if additional information is needed. So a request again to please like this video, and those of you who happen to be citizens of United States of Indian origin, you may want to read this book to understand how the 2020 election had so many holes. Each state had a slightly different philosophy with which things have gone wrong. I'm not saying that rigging happened across the board, but if a country, a foreign country, a powerful foreign country were to rig US elections, how would they go about doing it? That's what is in this book, because I'm afraid if we don't understand, if you don't set right the systems, that will repeat itself. The history will repeat itself. So what happened here? Now, first, let's take a look at timeline of events. This is just today, but remember, in the ASEAN meeting, Modi brushed off Trudeau, who was desperate to meet with him. So clearly, things were building up inside Canada. There was some sort of, it was going towards a cliff. I mean, 𝙥𝙤𝙣 has withdrawn support, but he did not pull support down in the no confidence motion. So it's something where rapprochement, right? Each one thinks that they don't have much of a leg to stand on without the other. By the way, there's a surprise from the opposition leader in Canada. That also I'm going to show you. So at some times you have to understand, when a country is concerned, people will take the side of the country, unlike a few from India. I've put it out there, guys. I find some Indian leaders' behavior strange, especially when they travel abroad. So what happened? Trudeau could not meet with Modi, and the statements that have been coming out back and forth, India said about Nijjar's killing, show us the proof. And today something happened. So first things, these are all with respect to IST, India Standard Time. At 1:56 p.m., India slammed Canada for involving India's High Commissioner in the probe. So what happened was, Canada announced that they would be including the High Commissioner in their probe of the killing of Nijjar. First of all, I have given a complete monologue on Nijjar. The way he got his citizenship is very dubious. Okay, Nijjar, and then there's other fellow called Goldie Brar. Goldie Brar works for who? Lawrence Bishnoi. And Brar is a born in Punjab, but he's wanted for 54 different cases in India. But now he's rumored to be living in Canada. Some people say he's rumored to be living in the United States. I'm going to give you a lot of lowdown on that story also, because I feel that there are two gangs, and these two gangs are fighting, and whatever has been happening, settling scores, what have you, that seems to have spilled into the open, and I think Niger got caught in that. Anyway, that's what I feel, but let's see what way things go. So at 6:52 p.m. India time, Canada's top diplomat was summoned, that is a high commissioner, and in 20 minutes he was out. 7:23 he was out, and he actually came out and addressed the press. There were close to 200 people just to listen to the Canadian High Commissioner. I find that strange too. So they knew something was brewing. Somebody tipped them off and saying, hey, something big is going to happen. So what happened was, I think India told the High Commissioner that India would be withdrawing its High Commissioner and 6 diplomats. Remember, India said that it would be withdrawing the High Commissioner and 6 diplomats, because I think some of their names were included. I showed you in a previous video today about how the effigies of 3, including the ambassador, were burnt. Now, at 8:30 p.m., reports of Canada expelling Indian diplomats of it, because by the time Canada is up and running in the United States, right? So, well, if India is already withdrawing the diplomats, where is the question of expelling? So that's a moot point. But this is going to come again and again, because there was a press conference that Trudeau addressed, and it was in French and then English, and I find that he's harping on the same thing. And I'm going to come to the crux of the whole thing. What is the basis of the argument on which they are saying what they are saying? So I'm going to come to that in just one moment. I want to first tell you all the chronology of events that took place. At 9:30 p.m. India Standard Time, the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, had their own press conference, and I'm going to capture the gist of that also. And at 9:46 p.m., India announces expelling of 6 diplomats, including the High Commissioner. The High Commissioner also has been, his name is Wheeler, he's also been expelled. All these things are available. There are a few handles that I'd like you to look at in addition to what we are already giving you. Siddhant at Siddhant on Twitter or X is a good one. He has been faithfully capturing it, all the events that are happening. So do look at his, like the way that you can see on this screen at Siddhant. He's got some very good, accurate stuff. So this is the Royal Canadian Mounted Police presser. There is a this link is also provided in the references. There's a video there, and you can listen to them saying that Lawrence Bishnой's gang is the one that carried out the killing of Niger at the request of the Indian government. So this is their this theory is this, that so I'll come to that in just one second. Let me just read this out. India is targeting South Asian community, but they are specifically targeting pro-Khalistani elements in Canada. What we have seen is, from an RCMP perspective, they use organized crime elements. It has been publicly attributed and claimed by one organized crime group, in particular, Bishnoi Group. We believe that the group is connected to agents of Government of India. We believe. There is no proof. See, this is where things come, become a little fishy. Even in the other case, where Pannu's assassination, somebody is being brought in for questioning, it's all based on like hearsay. Then they are reconstructing a story saying that the guy who wanted Pannu bumped off met with somebody who was actually a Secret Service agent, and therefore he said that there will be so much money up front, so much money afterwards. Come on now, this is the day and age of Bitcoins. Nobody is going to give actual cash. Something is not adding up. So, I mean, especially if it's going to be if there's going to be an involvement of the Indian High Commission, I kind of doubt that they would do something as crass as just saying, I'll give you a bag of notes. Of course, it's the easy way to do, but I'm just having my own doubts. So, Bridget Gowan, Assistant Commissioner of Federal Policing, National Security, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, has given the statement. The video is also available. It's about 20 seconds. Officials describe the operational chain in which Indian diplomats in Canada collect intelligence on alleged Sikh separatists, and then that is being used by RAW to identify targets for attacks carried out by a criminal syndicate led by Lawrence Bishnoi, whose organization, the official said, has an extensive presence in Canada. Wait a minute. This guy is in a prison in India. And if he has an extensive network in Canada, how did it spread? How did you guys not catch it before? Isn't there news that 2 days before Niger was shot dead, your own security, internal Canada's Bureau of Investigation people, didn't you go and talk to Niger? See, this is where I have my doubts. Whether it is Bishnoi Goldie Brar who took down, what's his name? Sidhu Moosewala in, I think it was in Chandigarh. By the way, do you know that Sidhu Moosewala's protection was withdrawn by the 𝗏𝗡𝐷𝐵 Party government 48 hours before he was killed? Nobody will tell you this. So on whose orders did 𝗏𝗡𝐷𝐵 Party withdraw the protection to Sidhu Moosewala? Then Goldie Brar bumps him off. Then he flees from here. He's holed up for some time in United States, sometime in Canada. I tell you, I have strong suspicion that this guy has become an asset of investigative agencies such as the FBI or CIA or whoever. Goldie Brar was holed up in a city called Fresno for several months. I know that for a fact. And he was moving around because these are all things that happened 2-3 years ago. India tried to catch hold of him and take him back. Of course, the US will not allow any extradition, but they will demand everything from India. See, I'm a US citizen, but I'm calling a spade a spade. I don't care. It cuts both ways. If US is using this Pannu and then this Channu, Bunnu, all these people as the exceptional citizens that need protection, they have a thing coming. These are all dregs of the society. That's all I can tell you. Whether it is Niger, who falsified and he tried to marry somebody and then 48 hours later showed up in immigration in Canada saying that I need a citizenship. This is his antecedents. And they are outraging that a citizen of Canada has been killed. Come on now. Dubious. And Niger is also wanted back in India for a lot of crimes he committed. I mean, you take the dregs of society from India, then you give them a respectability, you give them citizenship, and then when they continue to do what they have been doing in the past, and suddenly something happens that looks like a political opportunity, you turn around and start blaming Indian government. I mean, this just is beyond my comprehension as to why Canada is doing this. I can only tell you Canada's economy is really in the dumps. That's all it looks like. Either that or they're getting ready for elections and this is all political. But if it is political, I don't think they would go this far to include the name of the Indian High Commissioner as somebody who had actually been in on the plot. Now, this is the statement from the leader of opposition, 𝗣𝗑𝗄 𝗼𝗂𝘀. Here, what he says is the news and allegations today from RCMP are extremely concerning and must be taken very seriously. Any foreign interference from any country, including India, is unacceptable and must be stopped. Our government's first job is to keep our citizens safe from foreign threats. I'm going to stop right here and I'm going to ask Mr. 𝗣𝗑𝗄 𝗼𝗂𝘀. Do you know that in 2020, Trudeau came out in support of the farmers of Punjab for the farmers' agitation? If he can say that, then why are you surprised that something like this is happening now? Are you going to do the same thing? Tomorrow, if you need NDP vote for survival and they say you should condemn the next farmers' agitation or next XYZ agitation, and will you do that? Then that is okay, just because you happen to be from Canada? See, there is a certain amount of maturity. Look and learn, idiots. Look and learn. Some of the politicians in the West, look and learn from what happens. There is a lot of maturity in what Prime Minister Modi says and does. A lot of maturity in what the Minister of External Affairs says and does. He doesn't just go off and run his mouth off. Did they say anything about what you guys did to your truckers? You basically froze their bank accounts because they refused to remove their trucks from Ottawa. Did they say anything? It's an internal matter. You dealt it in a very shoddy way. That's okay. They didn't say anything officially. See, there is a certain amount of maturity required to lead your country. I'm sorry, I'm really, really disappointed with this. 𝗣𝗑𝗄 could have just said nothing. But so basically what it tells me is whether this is X or Y, the long-suffering Indo-Canadians who are law-abiding, who have made Canada their home, put down roots there, have families. I'm sorry, you need to fight for yourself. You need to stand up for yourself. There are thugs amongst you. They are going to target you. That is my biggest fear today. And you cannot expect any help from either this alliance or that alliance. Both of them are in it only to get power. This is a big letdown as far as I'm concerned from the Conservative Party. All of you who are registered one way or the other, please become independent. Okay, first of all, that will make your stock go up. People will quote and come and talk to you and say, okay, please vote for us. Then you can always, when you meet any politician, before you sign up for his for a photograph or to give them check, okay, take a list of 3 things that you want them to address. Don't give the entire amount all at once. Give a small amount and then tell you, once you fulfill this, I'll give you the remaining. Make sure they work for you, not the other way around. Anyway, this I've been saying for a long time, but sometimes people forget. This is very important. It's election time, especially in the United States. This today, I mean, next 20 days, it's going to be a presidential election. I'm going to give you some other regional contests also in United States. There are some controversies brewing there also. I'll come to that in just one moment. So after this, what happened? Let's take a look at what is going to happen. Look forward, right? How much does Canada export to India? $8 billion. This includes about 2.1 billion in oil that that India purchased from Canada. But these numbers change a little bit here and there. This is one of the higher numbers. We looked at 5-6 years of exports from Canada to India. Nothing much of a substance. They have some rare earths like aluminum exports. They export some other things, some precious stones and things of that nature. But this is the number. And I'm going to shock you now, as if I tell you how many students are studying in Canada and how much revenue that brings into the Canadian system. The enrollment of Indians at Canadian universities has risen more than 5,800% in the last 20 years. It was 2,181 in 2000, and it became 1,28,928, or 129,000 in 2021. There are about 13.35 lakh Indians studying abroad. This is the problem for India, and this is squarely because of the reservation system, especially in admissions. This is why many Indians choose to go abroad to study. And Modi needs to take a look at that, come up with a solution. I don't know what that solution is, but I have another solution that I'm going to tell you or share with you in just a moment. Now, of these 13 lakh, 4,27,427 students are studying in Canada. 427,000 students are studying in Canada. The enrollment, the cost of, staying for 1 year as a student in Canada, the average price based on the value we got from various campuses, and you can take a look at the reference to know the numbers, it is around $36,000. $36,000. Now, you do the math, guys. $36,000 average fees per student per year, 427,000 enrolled. That works out to $15.42 billion per year. This is what Canada is getting out of the student body that has come to study in Canada. Now, Canada will say, oh, these guys will come and stay here and take our job. Wait a minute. You are getting excellent workforce who has already done all the hard yards for which you didn't spend a single dime. India spent all the money to bring them up to bachelor's level or up to +12, and then they came here. Then you imparted 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever the number of years is, and then you have a workforce for which you have hardly spent peanuts because they are paying to study here. You see what I'm saying? The math works out in the favor of Canadians, not India. India is a loser in this. India is coughing up the foreign exchange of $15 billion a year. India is losing smart kids to Canada. I mean, this bleeding is going to start taking a toll on India also. Understand that is a problem for the Modi government, not for the Canadian government. Net, I see that Canada is going to lose big if it continues to do something like what it is doing. Now, you may ask me, what is an average Indian to do? What is an average Indo-Canadian to do? What is an average Indian American to do? Average Indian, first do your homework. Don't get swayed by children coming and giving parents emotional blackmail about how this friend has gone here, that friend has gone there. If I don't go abroad to study, my future will be ruined. All that stuff. You need to use your head. Find out what it is that your child is good at. Don't let them tell you what it is. You need to be able to evaluate what appears to be the strengths of your child and then decide accordingly. This is what the advice I would give for Indian parents. Now, for Indo-Canadian families who are now beginning to get under the crosshair of all these battles, I'm very sorry. You need to start speaking up. Make a noise, make a lot of noise. In fact, write to your member of parliament, tell them what is going on, and say that you are afraid for your own security. Should we move only in groups from here on? What have they done to allow all these drugs into the country? They are peddling drugs. They are ruining your children's careers, and there will be shootouts. Somebody is going to get caught in the crossfire. And the same goes for Indian Americans also. Same problem, ditto. So what is the way out, at least for those who've already emigrated to Canada or America? My 20-year, 30-year vision is that there is going to be one island of excellence that India, these expats will find. Like-minded people will come together, pool their resources. India's best teachers are in the United States and Canada. Their best medical practitioners are here. The best technocrats, they're all here. If even 10% of us pool together our collective wisdom and decide that we will take one island off of the coast of Florida or off of the coast of US on the west coast, and build this into an island of excellence, and say only merit-based candidates will come here and they can come and study there and go back. It will be the same as a US dollar. No need to worry about currency. It's not a place where you can live and work. There will be work permits just to work for a period of time, but it will be an island of excellence. This day is not far away. And as one succeeds, you will start seeing more and more such things happening. Yeah, it will be a small island, maybe it might become bigger, but there will be some sort of a way to control who comes in and who goes out. This is what's going to happen, guys. There is no other way to alleviate this problem. Those of us who are interested in learning and elevating our lives to the level that our potential is, all these things lead to only one solution, and this is the solution I see. I'm going to try and see if there are any questions here. Let me just try and go through the whole thing, chat, to see if there are any questions. Just give me 1 minute. My help has already gone to sleep. It's late in the night in India. Okay, one NN wants to know, sir, I don't think Justin Trudeau can take such foolish decision without the support of USA. Your thought? Also, what are the reactions of native Canadian public, or are they at least bothered? There are not that many Native Americans or Native Canadians. It's less than 1%. They are in reservations. They have been taken care of, meaning like, there are some subsidies that they get, and they have been introduced to drinking. Poor guys, they are not used to drinking. They drink a lot and they don't live long lives. Very, very sad set of affairs. As to the involvement of US, it is possible. I don't discount that, because like I said, the asset such as somebody like Goldie Brar has been in US and he has been in Canada. Same thing with Pannu. His sightings are all over the place, sometimes in Canada, sometimes in US. Then he'll come out and vomit some statement in Panglish and go on. Well, Anand Gopalan says India should go to the international courts of justice on this issue. Canada is violating our sovereignty by supporting Khalistan terrorists. Well, I believe that for any agreement going forward with countries like Canada or United Kingdom, India is insisting that the list that they will provide of people wanted back in India for their sins, they have to be extradited. That's like the first thing that they will be required to do before the deal is even signed. Rishi Sunak, if you remember, he tried a few things like that. But then the FTA had too many issues and India said no. Today, all the Western countries need India, because India is growing quite fast, and they can, it's like a rising tide. It lifts all the boats. They will also have some bump in their economy. I mean, the growth in Canadian economy is like 1.25%. That's not even keeping up with inflation. So it's a big problem. It's a big problem. It's a huge problem. I mean, I just gave you one number, right? The remittances from student attending colleges in Canada is $15 billion, and their exports are only $8 billion. Imagine what ecosystem thrives around this. All the cities, all the universities, all the faculty, all the vendors, all the housing, apartment, all those things. Everybody is going to be impacted. I'm very sure the fall admissions in 2025 is just going to tank as far as Canada is concerned. Nobody in their right mind would go and send their child to Canada. They may send them to other countries, and other countries will step up. In fact, India should be stepping up, but I don't know what the problem with India is. They need to do that. Let me see. Next question. And then again, I don't think Justin Trudeau can such. Oh, okay. This is the same question. Sorry. Just give me a second, guys, while I browse through quickly. Lots of comments. Many of you are perturbed, I can see. As far as what's going to happen for Indo-Canadians, can they move in and out of Canada into India and back? I don't think that should be a problem. It's just that if you need some specialized services from the consulate, you may find delays. Manav San wants to know, when Jewish synagogue in Canada is vandalized, politicians queue up to condemn and warn culprits, as they should, but nothing when Hindu temples are vandalized. Because Hindus outnumber Jews 10 to 1. That's because Hindus put their head down and start thinking about what they can do for themselves, for their families and their future, and so on and so forth. And Hindus don't usually get involved in politics. It's only recently that you're seeing more and more Hindus get involved in politics. And for the Jewish population, they had to, because of what happened in 1948, in the Second World War. That's when it said we have to be much more active politically, and we need to punch above our weight. And they have been continuing to do that. Games Galore wants to know, what is your prediction about US elections after third attempt on Trump? Well, have you read my book? Have you read my book? Because if you read this book, you'll know all the different vulnerabilities that were found in the 2020 elections. How many of them have been solved? You can go and take a quick note of that, and if you think that is still not, majority of them are not solved, then you know how the verdict is going to be. I hope I'm wrong on this one. I really hope I'm wrong on this one. All right, so that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll be continuing to monitor the situation. We may have an update during the day tomorrow, India time, of what developments there are. At this point of time, this is mostly political jousting, if you will. I think Canada is the net loser. I don't know how Canada is going to dig itself out of this hole. Namaskar.